Canadian regulations prohibiting travel over their border because of COVID-19 is causing big problems for folks who live in Minnesota's northwest angle because it requires two crossings of the border if you're driving there. This story from Northern Light Region, Representatives Colin Peterson and Susan Devane have called on the Canadian government to provide more flexibility and transparency for Americans who reside in the exclave communities of the Northwest Angle in Minnesota and Point Roberts in Washington state. In a letter to the Canadian Prime Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness, the lawmakers who represent these two communities, geographically separated from the rest of the country, urge the Canadian government to provide more advance notice of border policy changes and an exemption allowing travel through Canada to access the rest of the United States. The restriction on all discretionary travel at the Canada US border was extended until September 21st, 2020, and was announced only 5 days before the restrictions were set to expire. Should border restrictions continue, more advanced notification of restriction extensions and an explanation of the metrics that contribute to the future decisions would be much appreciated by our constituents, the lawmakers wrote. We would also greatly appreciate exemptions to allow Americans to briefly and safely transit through Canada without exiting vehicles to allow access to Point Roberts and the Northwest Angle. Exceptions to the non essential travel ban allow Americans to travel by car to and from Alaska through Canada. The same flexibility has not been given to those living in the Northwest Angle and Point Roberts, who only need to travel a short distance through Canada to reach the rest of the United States. Business owners have been devastated in the Northwest Angle by the border closure. Without the ability to travel by land through Canada, Americans are forced to travel by open water in long and often dangerous conditions to access the angle. This is a logistical and safety hazard that has hurt businesses and preventing Americans from visiting family or homes they own. In addition to this letter, Peterson has written to Canadian officials in July with a proposal to provide GPS tracking devices to allow property owners to travel to the Northwest Angle while still adhering to travel restrictions between the U.S. and Canada. Peterson also joined a letter from the Northern Border Caucus calling on the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Canada's Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness to develop a phased opening plan for the border, along with consideration of interim measures to ease travel restrictions for family members and property owners who must cross the border to access their U.S. property. And in August, Peterson introduced the Remote Recreational Small Business Interruption Program Act to provide relief for seasonal businesses in Minnesota's Northwest Angle. The bill would make forgivable loans available to the remote recreational businesses who have lost more than 50% of their revenue during the period between March 1st and July 1st of 2020, as compared with the same period during the previous year. I'm Neil Carlson reporting for PageOnePublications.com.